Hi, and welcome to Green Apple Books on the Park and our event with Diana Arterian, Sara Borjas, and Cindy Oak. My name is Nick, and thank you for joining us tonight. I'd like to take this moment to say that we are broadcasting from San Francisco on unceded Ramaytush Ohlone land. We hope you to join us in our pledge to turn land acknowledgement into action and donate either time or money or monetary means to an indigenous organization every time you hear a land acknowledgement. You can find out more about this at the back desk and at the front. I'd like to also point out a couple upcoming events that we have. On October 21st, we will have Jack Vandermeer. That's the one that I'm very excited about. And you can also find a list of our events both at the front and on our website as well. I'd like to take this time to say please silence your cell phones, and if you have pictures, if you're all okay with taking photos, feel free to take photos.
$2.
$2, yes.
Yeah, $2.
I'm getting word that we need $2 for every picture. Do you want to bring your Venmo?
Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Gotcha. And then I just want to let everybody know that we will be hearing a brief reading from Diana, Sara, and then a conversation between Diana, Sara, and Cindy, and then we'll follow up with audience questions and a signing at the end. Let's get a hand for our authors. Diana Arterian is the author of the poetry collection Playing Monster, and has twice been a finalist for the National Poetry Series. Her writing has appeared in Bomb, the Georgia Review, Los Angeles Review of Books, New York Times Book Review, and elsewhere. A poetry editor for Noemi Press, Arterian writes the annotated nightstand column at LitHub. She lives in Los Angeles. Sara Borjas is a Chicana ex-polka and a Fresno poet. Her debut collection of poetry, Heart Like a Window, Mouth Like a Cliff, was published by Noemi Press in 2019 and won a 2020 American Book Award. Sara was named one of Poets and Writers 2019 debut poets. Her work can be found in Agni, The Rumpus, Plowshares, Poem a Day by the Academy of American Poets, Alta, and The Offing, amongst others. She teaches innovative undergraduates at CSU East Bay, believes that all Black lives matter and all Palestinian lives matter, and will resist white supremacy and settler colonialism until Black liberation is realized and Palestine is free. Sara lives in Oakland and stays rooted in Fresno. Let's give a hand for Sara. And Cindy Oak is the author of Ward Towered, a finalist for the Los Angeles Times Book Prize and the National Book Critics Circle John Leonard Prize. She teaches creative writing at UC Davis. And where are you from? I'm sorry.
From the heart of
poetry. From the heart of poetry.
Live.
Again, I just want to say that we are here to celebrate Diana's latest book, Agrippina the Younger. Please join me in welcoming Sara first.
Thank you.
Of course.
Hey everyone, thank you for being here. And thank you to Diana for inviting us to celebrate your book with you. It's an honor. And I've been wanting to come to Green Apple Books and have not made it. So this is like all so many joys in one. So thank you, Diana. Unfortunately, like every time I feel like there's like a celebratory reading, I'm not the best person because I have only like really sad shit to read. So, it'll be a deep abyss and then maybe we can slowly recover throughout the evening. We'll find out. This first poem I'm going to read is from my collection. And my mom is the oldest daughter and looks a lot like my grandpa. And I think when she was 9, my grandma left my grandpa and they drove from Texas to California to start a new life. But they drove and did farm work till they ended up in Fresno. So it's a little bit about that. It's called I Know the Name of the Desert, and it's after David St. John. There is a desert inside my mother's iris, a flesh-colored truck rambling through miles of packed dirt, where my grandmother is leaving my grandfather, driving away with all his kids. Dirt rises and fails along a road in El Paso. Sand freckles underneath tires. 8 small hands ringed like rags. My grandma reaches across the cab, over 3 of her daughters, to slap my mother across her face. She calls her tortilla quemada, cara de mierda, because she has my grandfather's big teeth, wide canyon mouth, cheeks like hot, empty plains. My mother would rather cut off her hands than hit me. She would rather swallow box Chardonnay, open her throat like a rusty silo for rain, light a candle for a girl she knows, and turn this evening into a watermelon slice, a rest stop where she is allowed to play. In her iris, there is a desert. There is a girl who does not cry, a woman who wonders what she did wrong. I am a daughter who walks through a desert, carrying my mother's wounds. Each open palm across her child's face. Each time a man offered her something he did not have. I trudge a lineage of exiled desire, thirsty. I love my mother by drinking her cheap wine with her. I bend down in the sand. I lap my own sinking steps. I think that, I know that Diana's in conversation with this historical figure, but also like woman and woman have these conversations, and so I kind of wanted to read poems that honored that type of conversation. So I invited my mom. No, but yeah, I kind of did. So this is my second poem, then I'll read one more. This one's called A Heart Can Only Be Broken Once, Like a Window, and its title is a line from an Eduardo Corral poem. In the poem, the speaker says that his dad tells him this. And I just really love that line. So this is also an homage to Frankie Beverly, the lead singer of Maze, who died last year. A heart can be broken only once, like a window. I miss the kind of love they sing about in oldie songs, but I don't ask for it anymore. My palms are turned down against gusts taking themselves away. I listen to wild parrots while I run between sycamores in the park. I walk around uncomfortable in my jeans and wonder if the holes are something I've made. I think about some things, so I don't think about other things. Pizza, poetry, Neosporin. I eat my fried eggs out of a bowl shaped like a man's hands. The thin gold rings on his fingers are still mine. I have myself to remind me of love, and that's all. I tie tiny triangles of glass to string that I wear around my neck, and some say it's pretty. When my mother doesn't recognize the jewelry adorning me, hoping, she asks if it's new. And though I am Mexican, feel deeply, and joke dark, God still owes me a drink for every time the woman I should be has died. I no longer mean it when I say please. Sometimes words belong between certain people, and neither one is you. Sometimes people are just lines in a song, and today I feel like telling jokes instead of pretending to write poetry, and I'm angry with the word should. I think about words, so I don't think about loss or all the feathers left on my porch. I want to open the front door and see a clean bird waiting for me on the doormat like I'm Snow White, even if it has rusted forks for wings. I once heard that the world breaks everyone, that afterwards many are stronger at the broken places. I wish a whole woman would wake up inside of me. Oh, okay, here's some baby snaps. Thank you for the baby snaps. Yeah, do what you feel, do what you feel. And I'll read one last poem. I recently picked up camping because my partner likes to camp, and I went so hard I bought a Subaru. So it's serious. It's serious now. And we were camping, and he taught me how to play backgammon. which I didn't even know what that was before. I've only been gambling since I was 4, so it was like really big difference. But anyways, like you have to count. Like you have to count and like keep track of all this stuff. And then we're drinking and camping. So like it's hard to keep track. And because I can't keep track, sometimes my husband will be like, you're always cheating, you're always cheating. I'm like, I just can't keep up. Like I'm not cheating, it's counting, like it's hard. And one time he was talking shit and he was like, you cheat and you probably grew up cheating or some shit like that. I was like, I'm gonna write a poem about you and then I'm gonna read it everywhere I go. So this is that poem. It's called There is an Animosity Ignited Inside Me. My husband hates me. He never lets me win any games. When he reads Thich Nhat Hanh, he looks free and I want it. He adores mescal and wooden abstract figures, but mostly it's the birds that he follows all day. My husband talks sweetly to animals, ravens, crows, his simple and brief friends. He says, it's how I was raised, why I cheat at games. I attach. I'm too attached. That's why he hates me. That's why I play with him. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Sarah, for reading and being here. And it's so fun to hear you read from this book that I love so much. And I'm excited about the new poems. And your story reminded me of a friend who was like playing a card game with her husband while they were waiting for people to wake up at Christmas. Like they were at her house or something, and he just kept beating. It was like 2 hours, and he was just annihilating her. And she was like, and he proceeded to ruin Christmas.
Christmas morning.
Yeah. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you, Green Apple. Thank you, Cindy. I wore a really crazy mask at my book launch, and I can't travel with it, but I have these gold laurels, and I do wear them because this book took me 10 years, and I feel really proud of it, and I'm excited that it's out. So I'm just going to speak very briefly about the book, and then I'm going to read. So Agrippina the Younger was a real person. She was an ancient Roman empress living in a time in which women were second-class citizens. Like they sat separately from men. They weren't allowed. They had very few things that they were allowed. But she was also from a noble family. I almost think that she was like a Kennedy. And she exploited that. She wanted power. She exploited her lineage. She exploited her proximity to power and incredibly realized it. Became an empress, used men as puppets, ran the empire, did it very well. And so she clearly had this like brilliant political mind. Despite this fact, she's maligned in the history books. She's not written about much at all, and when she is, it's warped. And so I wanted to write about her. And so she's mostly known by the men to whom she was related or married. So like Caligula was her brother, Nero was her son, Claudius, who's another Roman emperor, was her uncle and husband, which was also creepy then. Like they had to change the laws to allow that marriage. So I'm just going to read a little of this and then we'll talk. Agrippina the Younger. Nero had her cut down, the middle to see, the womb that formed him. And as he peered in the cleft, that exposed organ began to pedal outward, growing and deepening to an enormous vagina, until he looked in and saw only darkness. So he burned prisoners in his garden for light, and shut her up behind a large carving. Her remnants quietly broke off, moving into Nero, Piso, Vindex, Galba. So there were hauntings, and blood, and exile, and suicide. Nero shook sea urchins, plucked songs on his lyre, and she continued to grow, until she held all of Rome, which burned and was rebuilt, while she tessellated, fanned, and Agrippina smiled, with her mouth of bloody eye teeth. The Palatine Hill. I walk the Palatine Hill for some hours, the sun beginning to heat, then move to a bench under a large umbrella pine, brown dull needles snapping. I try to see what Agrippina saw, smell the needles, hear beetles or crickets sounding like rock carving into rock, or into reeds, wood. The trees, perhaps different tree types, the birds maybe, but the paths the same, the stones, the hotness. A woman close by carries a long, thin banner of wilted fabric. Walking backward, she calls information to those who follow. Agrippina the Younger became the Empress of Rome after tricking her uncle into marrying her and adopting her son. She murdered her uncle later. And I smile, for how strange that a handful of men defined this woman's life narrative, and it continues even as the buildings she moved through have begun to crumble back into the earth. The Palatine Hill. I'm here to collapse the disk of time, stand beside her, but these aren't even all her same structures. I look at one and my mind turns to how she might have passed through an archway, hand grazing a wall, then the placard, 200 years after her death. It all looks ancient to my ignorant eye. And what holds or fails is so arbitrary. Frescoes from 2 millennia ago appear fresh, a large, relatively young marble building reduced to nubs and dirt with a dark sign as a marker. Then there was the taking of stones from one thing for another, the huge bronze statue thrashed to pieces for valuable reuse. The many sackings of Rome brought fire and blood, but amazingly raised little. I learn what survives best is buried. What is buried continues to surface. With each dig for a subway line, more. After excavation, a little metal gate is at its lip so you can peer. Cats are quick to move in. The city built, torn, built over, so every scene is thoroughly changed since her lifetime. I can never see her visions. A strange wanting. This is a continual dance of nearly but not, sapping me. It is so hot and dusty here the moment I return to my rented space. I fling my shoes and lather from my feet up to my knees. Prone on this couch under cool air, I think of the ancient cave found in France. The rock where cave people stubbed out torches. The carbon is dark as if just done, not 30,000 years ago. Then the engraving found in a cave in South Africa, dated over twice that old. I think, as a white American especially, this amount of time passed is beyond what I have been trained to hold in my head. To get to old human-made structures where I grew up, you must drive through hours of desert, scramble down dirt paths into canyons. And I have done this, seen ancient indigenous people's homes under cliffs, their hieroglyphs bigger than me. Most are riddled with bullet holes. As a child, I found a flat place with countless arrowheads glinting. I held some, seeing the chips in glassy rock by hand so long ago, and I left them behind as is respectful. The oldest object I've ever touched that isn't a land formation was when I somehow went on a paleontological dig in New Mexico as a 12-year-old. Everyone else scientists and intrigued non-scientist adults. One paleontologist guided us in the more hardscrabble fossil finding. We hunkered down on a small mound of thumb-sized rocks. He lifted one, explained it was fossil and what to look for, how to try to find the broken piece. I scanned and picked one, holding it out, like this, and he took it, reuniting the knob with the other in his hand. It fit so perfectly. With his surprise at my quickness, he only managed, yep. A few days later, I held a brow horn brought out from the dirt. Agrippina, age 5. She sees the trail of gore and follows, finds a small roe deer, arrow almost through the neck. Crouching, she pushes it out, breaks the tip, slips the shaft from the deer as it kicks weakly. She lifts its head to her lap, strokes between the eyes, cradles the ear with her little hand. Ticks move to the hairless arms, blood pumping out the hole, then less. Breaths more and more shallow. She hums as her mother does the baby. The deer's tongue slips quietly from between its teeth. The girl still pets as the woods and head grow cold. She eyes the large warm belly, wants to press, massage whatever, out. Build a fire beneath so the flesh will open and show. She sees the fire, the fur, all blackly twisted, skin splitting, the pink fawn's eye on her. Agrippina, age 13. This is when she marries her first husband, who will be Nero's father. Domitius gives her a ring of iron. Agrippina fingers it under her robes, while slaves weave her hair with flowers, place gold on her neck and wrists. She thinks of the man older than her father ever was. At the ceremony, a pregnant sow is brought forward, dark and wreathed in leaves. Wine, crumbs from holy cake are dusted on its brow. For the goddess Ceres, for Terra Mater, for this marriage. A man raises his axe, blunt side down, strikes the sow, slices the stunned animal's throat, opens her belly. The priest pushes fetal piglets aside, handles the entrails close to his eyes, looking for flaws. Another man places the insides on an altar for burning. Domitius watches Agrippina while the men butcher the pig, char the guts. She does not look away. The priest steps into the blood, face covered, prays in whispers, a flute drowning out any ominous sounds. It feels weird to do the next marriage, but I might just. This is when she marries her uncle. Agrippina the Younger's marriage to Emperor Claudius. Maybe I'll read. You know what? I'm going to read the next one, which is after she gets married. And then maybe I'll stop so we can talk. Maybe I'll read one more. This is after she marries Claudius, so she's empress. The material marital benefits for Empress Agrippina. The couple stamped in gold infinitely moves from hands to other hands. A holy carriage carved, her carpentum of blonde wood, its draped fabric ceiling. The interior cushions, cloths embroidered with pearls, gold, precious stones. Her son, now Claudius's son, successor, future emperor. See her in repose. The cozy grandeur cuddled up around her, eyes on the precise cloth. A breath of certainty so few of us know, as she is drawn through the city by two fine reddish mules. This will be my last one, the Forum. This was a bog the Romans drained to hardness. Much later, wind moved earth in, slowly but fully, until the Forum was lost. This center dip between hills forgotten. For centuries, it was a grazing place. A J.M.W. Turner painting shows goats picking along the edges, goat herds tossed cloaks on large tumbled marble pieces. It was dubbed Campo Vecino, cowfield, for it was that until concerted excavation. Before the cows, there were meetings, political decisions, the bank, the temples where animals were slit throats for the gods, empty heads, enemy heads stuck in the rostra. The place of triumphal marches miles long, orations for the dead, bustling center, the site of the temple of Vesta, kindling lost in raging fire, fire after fire. My mind on that history, but here Turner includes the Colosseum, pale and damaged in the background, hazy, and I wonder what it is to live in a place with such enormous ruins, with columns standing some solitary over 50 feet high, and chunks of marble so large many horses were all that might move them. How to engage with a place, with what you can't build upon? What use of it? Perhaps it is all an uninspired metaphor for what I'm up to, trying to dig through the palimpsest of time, holding different artifacts up to the light to discern their use. Thank you. What you got the next? Shall we?
No.
Please.
Get over
The
there.
crown is the crown.
Yeah.
Your best friend then. That's
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we can pass because then she and I can pass.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there we go. That's good.
I'm just gonna, if you want to actually look at it, you're just gonna.
Okay. Oh. Yeah,
Oh,
great,
there we
so that
go.
you can be
Now you're actually.
captured.
There you go.
This is a good segue. Because first of all, we need to thank Nick.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you for having us, and thank you for organizing and for being with us so late, as well as to Grace, who's here, and Carr, who organized. And, you know, it's a lot of emails, everyone who organizes these things, so grateful for them. So, congratulations, Diana. Diana traveled to us. We're so lucky. I wanted to start off, with the idea of homage, which Sarah mentioned. because, you know, we use that word a lot in poetry, but I think it's another way to think about the hauntings that we choose or that we kind of record. And Diana, you said you know, wanted to write about something ignored, right? You wanted to write into the space, to the blank space, and change the fact that it was erased and kind of rectify something. And there's a kind of haunting there that you're doing, and also of your haunting. So I thought maybe we could just start with talking about what you feel haunted by right now, both of you. Like, what are the things that you feel compulsions towards and, you know, honored by? What's kind of in the poems and also off the page haunting you?
Oh my God.
Too many?
No, I mean, I knew that you were going to have really great questions. Do you want to start? No? Okay.
Backgammon?
You're right, backgammon, counting.
Backgammon.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I think a few things. I think probably the most potent for me right now is in regards to the book anyway, is like, yes, this is supposed to be some sort of reclamation. Like, I'm writing into the voids of the archive. This is this woman who's been ignored or maligned. Like Tacitus famously wrote maybe a generation after her, and ancient historians lean on his work all the time. They quote it relentlessly. Even the people who are like, it's bad, and he'll literally, he's in his annals, he's literally like, let me tell you more about Agrippina, and it just becomes a fragment. Like, and she wrote 3 memoirs. Nobody felt that they were worth copying, which is devastating. And but I think that this is the reason I'm bringing it up, is like, that's important, and it's what inspired me about the book. Also, she was an empress. Like, it's the reason that we have any scraps of information about her at all, is that she had a lot of power. And to me, she represents the innumerable women. Like, the fact we even have Sappho is like a miracle, despite the fact that she was a celebrity when she was alive. And all the women who have just never been worth the parchment, if we get any word from them from the ancient world, it's like an absolute miracle. And so I feel like in my mind, it's like she's like representing the haunting of all of these people who just never even came close to making it in kind of normative history. And yeah, that feels connected to now and how I'm feeling and what the things I'm haunted about today. But I'll let Sarah answer.
Thank you, Diana. I don't know. There's like a few things, but I can't really like speak deeply on them honestly right now. Like, one thing I feel haunted by is like wanting. It's like I want joy, kind of, you know, and I feel like it's like this. Yeah, it's like a ghost that I just cannot like commune with, like, but also can't like stop wanting it at the same time. And I think another thing is Vanessa Angelica Villarreal was like the Poem Day guest editor last October or October before for Poem Day, and on her like the editors
They like
say,
have
like,
a little thing.
like, this is what I'm looking for. Yeah. So on hers, she brought up the hauntological and the idea that people who have been like, you know, are come from like genocide and massacre and are haunted by their lost futures. And I also think maybe that's probably part of to do with the joy. It's like, what? And I always feel this overwhelming feeling like that I'm not supposed to be alive. Like, I'm not supposed to be here. I shouldn't be here. And like it's not okay to be alive because of like the source of all the violence. And so I've just been kind of obsessed and also really mourning like some type of just feeling like it's okay to be here. And also like and then I also have all this like anger, this righteous anger coming from it. But then I think that's what makes the joy so much more like of a ghost, like there. But I can't get to it. But there's a lot to be like transcended before that is a real possibility. Not joy on us, and in like the way, like not like puppy joy, like
Is that like puppy love?
Yeah, like not puppy love, not puppy joy. I want that deep joy, that real joy. But it's always around. Yeah, it's around lately.
What about Fresno? A lot of people haunted by Fresno.
Yeah, good.
I know that's what
Good.
I
got your Fresno tattoo.
Yeah, just in case people
559.
don't forget. They don't forget.
Wait, are you from Fresno?
No, I do know a lot of people in Fresno.
I know, we kind of...
Especially because you're at UC Davis, right?
Yeah, but also like I know about. Do you know about John's Incredible Pizza on Eid?
Oh, no.
No.
There's this
Is there a Muslim
restaurant.
population there?
Yeah, well,
Oh, that's cool.
I know a lot of Palestinian people there, and they everyone goes to this place, John's Incredible Pizza,
On Eid?
Why?
That's really cool.
because he gives tickets.
Oh,
The guy.
Oh.
Or yeah, there's some kind of system.
You
Great.
just
Look at
talked
this. Okay,
about
Fresno.
your
No.
hometown.
Okay,
Thank you.
anyway.
This is
Yeah.
a good tip. That's a great tip.
Yeah.
Fresno's a special place. Okay, so I think both of you have an interesting conversation across time. Whether that's in one lifetime or, across big place, big time. And I was curious about the fact that, you read from your book, which is 2019, and you said you've been working on this for 10 years.
Yeah.
So what is the conversation across time, not just literally to another person, to, these other kind of figures, but to yourself across the time that you've written it, whether it's the self that wrote that first book, or whether, who you had to become in order to finish this book.
You want to start? Do you have an answer?
A little one. Yeah, okay. I don't feel, or I don't feel, I think time, I've just been given clarity with time. I don't feel different. I feel like more sure. I don't know if that's because you get older, you get wiser, or if that's like the process you have as a writer. Actually, I would say that probably both, because when you write a book, like you have to process so much stuff, I think, if you're really, really writing.
Mm-hmm.
And so once, I did that, and I had processed all those things that I was writing about, there was like stuff, like there's just, like stuff underneath, like poets, like I said, if there's poems under poems, it's not that easy. It's not like there's more poems to be under poems. No, there's like more complication, now that I'm not like so, I feel in a way I've been able to like forgive my mom and have compassion for my dad. So now that I'm not so hurt, what am I? Like, who am I as a daughter? I'm not different, but I get to see like who I am beyond that. So it's a clearer place, but it's also like something I haven't been in a long time. So I'm curious to see, like, as time goes on, how I'm gonna deal with that as well.
I mean, in terms of just like, it's funny because somebody who was at a residency with me, and I was like, we had a campfire and we were sharing work, and I was reading these poems, or like some of the kind of hybrid prose. And that was in 2019. I mean, it's been a really hard decade. Like personally and also publicly. Like it's like, and I think I was at this point, like when I went to Rome, like 3 weeks before that, my partner's dad died, and I was like there, like, and so I was kind of like, okay, maybe the hardest stuff is behind me, and it was like, buckle up, bitch, like, you have no clue, like, I just, and so I think, sorry to drop the I say it with love to myself, but, it's like, I think that, I really appreciate your vulnerability in your other answer, because I think that that's also really palpable for me. And the thing that I've been trying to think about is like how joy is also radical. Like it also makes like the bad people upset that they have joy. And that's something that I'm trying to think about. But I mean, invariably over a decade, like your work is going to change, like art is going to change, the literary landscape changes. And so how the book changed was that it had a lot more prose, because I was also just writing more prose. And I think also I became like more flexible as a writer. And like, because I was only writing like these ragged right edges poems, and then they started to go really, I would be like, okay, well I have to include this information, and then it would just like go dead. And so I was like, this isn't working. Like just being open to like the different possibilities and shapes, and being really grateful for the infinite flexibility of poetry, because it's so ancient, so we can just do whatever we want. I don't know if that answered your question, but
yeah, and I think being open to it is really useful as a reader as well. You know, I love what James Tate said about, well, how do you know a prose poem's a poem? How do you know such as prose? You just know.
Yeah,
you know when you see it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's useful. And Eduardo, you mentioned Eduardo, and his first book also took 9.5 years. Maybe there's something about that length.
Yeah.
That a book gestates.
I feel that in my soul.
How long did it take for you to write your book?
Well, it's always hard with the first book because it's like your life.
It's my life, yeah.
Like, you literally wrote it at a certain time, but
yeah, like started.
How long my first book took me? Oh God, it was less than 10 years. This one, it was just, there was so much damn research, and then all this life stuff.
Yeah.
And it was like, I was writing my dissertation.
A very different kind of book, yeah.
And also, too, I would say, like, if it was, like, me saying, oh, I'm writing a book and I'm doing that, like, you could say it was, like, 6 years. Right. But then when I was, like, really going to be published, then I learned, like, oh, like, a book's life, like, is not done, you know? And it really, it goes through a second writing when you're editing and then publication. So over that, it's 10 years.
By the end, you're like, get this out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never want to look at it again.
No third round. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to take some questions from the audience. And, I think we're open to anything that kind of echoed out from the readings, or just what you're thinking about this pairing of poets and friends.
And friends.
Yeah.
Poets and friends.
Yeah. I have a question. Yes. This is for both of you. I know that you did so much research for this book, so I'd like to know kind of more about that process.
Yeah.
And for you too, I'm sure you looked back into family history, and you were talking about your grandparents moving across. So how was that process for you too?
It was funny because somebody recently was like, "Yeah, how did you manage it?" And I said, "Well, there's not that much written about her, right? So that was, and what I'm doing too is writing into and creating scenes where I don't know what she was doing when she was 5, but also I don't know Latin, so that also made it easier. Despite taking Latin in high school, my teacher was so bad, he would just let me and my one friend who was in the class go and eat ice cream instead of learn Latin. But we talked about Weezer a lot, so that was important. Anyway, so I think it felt kind of bounded and manageable. I probably read almost everything about her in English. And I think because I was getting my PhD for a chunk of that, I also had access to materials that I don't have now because I'm not associated with an institution. I think it was just also really fun.
And even just sitting in a space and wondering, is that part of it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Or it would be okay, she's getting married. What did they do at weddings? And then learning about that, and also trying to kind of put myself in that space. And then when I was physically there, trying to think about what the space looked like when she lived there, or moved through those spaces. So yeah, it was, I mean, I'm a total nerd and love research. Like, even when it was dark as hell, like, I was having a really good time. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't do like that type of research, but it sounds so exciting to me. Like, I would be like, do you guys want to come over and research? Like, like drink some wine and, talk about it. Like, that sounds so exciting to me. And I didn't do that type of research.
But you, like, excavated.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's also like, not really, because like, I don't know if maybe it's like Chicano culture, everyone's always gossiping and talking shit. So it's like, I didn't have to research because like, we don't let motherfucker forget. Either. So it's really not that deep. It's not that deeply buried.
But that's the kind of research.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta keep it in the mix.
Yeah. It is kind of cool to ask like your mom and your grandma about stuff because they don't get asked. Like, they don't get asked and they're like, well, let me tell you, and so like now I'm not doing research, but now like I'm trying to like record my grandma when she starts popping off and telling us crazy stories, but like behind her back, so I gotta be careful.
Oh.
Yeah, because if she knows I'm recording her, she's gonna stop talking.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's ethical, but that's still what I'm doing. But I'm also too like now doing a lot of research that I am excited about, like how did alcohol get introduced to like indigenous people of America? It's like what is like this, just thinking about Mexican culture and like Chola culture, it's just very gold oriented, right? It's like symbolic and obsessed, but then also reading and finding out like if you didn't bring 3 ounces of gold a month to like Spaniards, they would like cut off your kids' hands and make you wear it in a thread around your neck. Like, that's the type of shit I'm researching, and I'm not, while it's fucked up, I'm like, oh, that's why I feel like that. Like it's like being able to label it, which does feel like a type of power that I will use for good later. Yeah, but it's, even though it's dark, it's just good to know. It's just nice to know instead of being like totally lost without record.
Yeah.
I was thinking, Diana, that when you say 10 years, that frames pretty perfectly the time when a dark cloud passed over this country. I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about the process of writing this, and if this was like, I'm also thinking of this as like not just historical, but like another culture. Like, is it a little bit of an escapist project, or are you like really drawing a lot from the history in terms of how you're seeing this moment and this kind of, just like regression?
Yeah. I'm sure that Freud would agree it was an escape, because obviously I'm like, yeah, it's like super dark, but it's so interesting, so I would like totally get lost in the history and I get really lit up by like information and like facts and things that are new. Absolutely, I see how little things have changed in meaningful ways, but also I also don't want to like denigrate how far things have come. I'm in the United States, like women aren't legally second-class citizens right now. So who knows how that might change, but it's like, that's actually like a pretty important differential. But at the same time, like after the book right before the book had come out, I somehow came across this speech from Cato on the Senate floor, which was actually before Agrippina was born. And there was a big war happening, and so he was arguing for austerity measures to pay for it. And the people who he had decided who should bear the brunt of that were the women, and they should wear different clothing that wasn't as flashy, and they should not be allowed to have a certain amount of gold, and their carriages shouldn't be allowed to go to certain parts of the city. And it was really chilling how it could have been someone on the Senate floor in the United States today. Like, it did not feel strange. And that's really demoralizing. But at the same time, the fact that I can like be in a public place and talk about, like, I'm not trying to like flatten the progress that we've made either. I think in general, a lot of what the practice of this book was for me, more than anything else, was trying to engage in deep time. I mean, and the thing that I read, it's true. Like, I really think that I grew up in Arizona, a place with like ancient history. At the same time, like, it celebrated its 75th anniversary as a state when I was a child. And like, we would learn about indigenous cultures, but like not really. And I was even friends with indigenous kids, but it wasn't like part of what we were learning in a meaningful way. And so this sense of ancient history felt really remote. And I remember studying abroad in London and being like, my mind was blown because it was the first time I had left the country. And I think that that's something that I'm reaching toward more and more, if only to learn like how to survive and like try to help this terrible circumstance of extremity. And to also really keep in mind that my life is so short in the grand scheme of things. Like, it's like not even a whisper, right? Humanity in general, in terms of the earth, but like even just within the history of humanity. But that doesn't mean that it's meaningless or that it can't make a difference. So, yeah, we got real existential here.
Yeah, invite us to your next party.
I mean, yeah, I do think it is party talk, you know? I think what else is done in the centers of empires, and you're kind of thinking through what that means or relationally how that changes. Yeah. We have one more question.
I would just love to ask you both how you came to poetry and writing.
Oh boy. I mean, like most artists, like fucked up childhood probably. I mean, I wrote some like really.
Not mine.
Oh yeah.
Just kidding.
I wrote some really bad poems. It's funny because I get this question from time to time, and I'm like, it's like I slipped on a banana peel, and
Exactly.
like, I wrote really bad poems in high school that were like really dramatic, and then but like not a lot of them, and then I actually used to be a really serious classical violinist, and I was at college. I was in a music program, and my arms got really fucked up, and I had to stop. And I felt really unmoored, and I didn't know what to do. And I just like picked up a Brit Lit post 1800 in a poetry class. I have no idea why. It was like I threw a dart at a board. It was just like, this is it. Like, especially the literature. I was like, oh, this is like my brain. This is perfect. And poetry just like lit me up in a way that's similar to music, where it's like, this is this ancient thing and I'm tapping into it and I disappear, which felt really precious to me because I had lost that. What about you?
Yeah, I was not ever trying to be a poet or a writer or anything, not because like it just wasn't like on my radar, you know. And I also wasn't trying to go to college or anything. I was just trying to do like hella drugs and work at Denny's for a really long time, which I did. And then I got like, it gets old and tiring. And you get bitter. You start hating people, you know, when you work in service, food service, because people are assholes. And so then all like my homegirls that I worked at that Denny's with were like, fuck this place. Like, I just thought I was going to bring the ketchup and they asked me for ketchup, you know? And one day we were so angry, we printed out some receipt paper, like the thermal paper, and we wrote a little contract and we're like, we will all promise to sign up for one class at City College. Just to like try to do something different. And then we signed it. And then we all signed up for a class for real the next semester. And that's how I started going to school.
This is what they don't tell you about peer pressure.
It
works.
Yeah, I was like, well, it was fun. It was fun. I was with them because my dad was always like, go to college. He like trained me to be a soccer star so I could get a scholarship. And I was good, and I did get a scholarship, and I said no. And I didn't go to college because I was so like rebellious. Yeah, I was like, I hate this. So all the homegirls went, and I ended up taking, whatever classes, and I took a poetry workshop for an elective?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just got turned out in that one class. I had a queer Chicano teacher, and I was writing these terrible sonnets.
Sonnets?
Yeah, in Elizabethan English, by the way.
Holy shit.
Yeah, that's all I did.
I would pay.
But it was wild. It was like I had a crush on my boss, but it's Elizabethan English.
Oh my god.
And bless his soul, Juan. He was like, "This is really good." Like in the margins, saying like, egging me on, and that's really all I needed to just feel seen in a sense. I don't know that he saw like my heart, but I just felt seen for the first time, and so I wanted to kind of stay in that place. And I just kind of kept going, and then like slipped on 10 banana peels, and here I am. yeah. I like poetry now though because, I feel things so hard, and I feel like such an outsider all the time, especially in my family, who is all Libras. And I'm a Scorpio.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So is Kevin back there, who's also a poet.
Nice.
But it just feels good to be able to be myself in this one little place. And so poetry is that's why I'm still here, I think.
Yeah, that's the nice thing about poetry in particular is that really there's no one who does it for much beyond the love of the game, right?
Yeah.
What else is there?
Capitalism doesn't really
Yeah.
like it, except for
So-
3 people. So we get to do whatever we want.
Yeah, exactly. There's nothing to lose.
They're literally.
And if you think there is, then I think you don't. I think you need to open your eyes
For
and
the wrong
look
reasons.
around.
This
Yeah.
is a good transition to say, let's support this bookstore. Diana will be signing.
Yes, and I even have an embosser. I can make it special. But also, truly, I don't care if you buy this book. Buy something. Because these are the events that keep the lights on at these places. Support your independent bookstore. I always think of it as concessions at the movie theater. Just buy something, even if it's a sticker or something, just to help support Green Apple. I'm so grateful to Green Apple for hosting us.
Thank you, Rachel Grace.
I would have normally had ending words to be prepared, but they really did a great job.
We're pros.
Exactly. I mean, you're poets, so it makes sense. But yes, books are available at the very front. We are going to have a signing line back here for you to get your book signed. And then let's get one more hand for Sarah, Diana, and Cindy. Thank you for coming out.